Okay, state your name and the office that you're running for.
Rick Barnes, Tarrant County Tax Assessor-Collector.
Okay, and why are you running for that office?
The position came open, so I seriously looked at it back when it first opened, and then as we processed through the conversation, I gave it serious consideration. I really think the position needs a strong conservative person in the position. I think it needs somebody that has a good record of conservatism, and I think I bring things to the position that'll help the whole office and also just help the operation, and I've got a lot of ideals for that.
Okay, and briefly describe your qualifications.
I was served on the Keller City Council for 3 years as Mayor Pro Tem. I have a positive voting record when it comes to taxes. Was a champion for lowering the tax rate every year that I was on council. We also raised the homestead exemption for the first time in the foreseeable, any time anybody can remember in Keller. So I have a record that can prove that I have the capacity to make that decision. I also have owned my own business for 25 years and been very successful with that. Today I own a second business selling insurance, and so I think I bring a lot of business mindset to the operation. I've also served on in the leadership of 14 boards of directors, 14 nonprofit associations. So I know how to work with people. I know how to be out in front of people. I know how to speak in public, and I think I have an opportunity to take all that to the position and do well with it.
What do you believe the proper role of government is?
The proper role of government, in my opinion, is just to allow people the opportunity to do what people are good at doing. I think government can actually get in the way, and I think the smaller government can be, the better position all of us have the opportunity to do the things that we're good at doing. Government provides a framework for us in which for us to operate and to live, and I think that's an important part of who we are as a country. But when government overreaches, we end up with big problems, and I think that's a concern for lots of people.
Okay. When and for what reason should state or local government be allowed to seize private property under eminent domain?
I think if you have to use eminent domain, it better be your absolute last possible consideration. I honestly don't know that I can think of a time that should be the necessary answer, but if it does become the answer, it better be based upon true property values, not a government decision. It's based on the market value of that property, and if that's absolutely necessary, that's the position to go, but I really can't think of a time that it's the proper way to do it.
Is Texas in need of civil asset forfeiture reform?
Civil asset forfeiture reform, yes. Again, government overreach can become a challenge, and we have to be careful allowing government to get too involved in the civil operation of what we do as a country, much less as a state. And so those are concerns that I think everybody has to think about at the state level.
What is your position on marriage rights?
I believe in a traditional definition of the word family. There's three things that I tell everybody that I stand for. I stand for God, I stand for the Constitution, and I stand for the traditional definition of family, and have maintained that position. I also am a heavy, strong, pro-life believer. I'm adopted. I was a Gladney baby out of Fort Worth, and my answer to issues of life is adoption, but I think adoption is also an answer for lots of people in the environment of wanting to have a family, and it opens the door for lots of people in that consideration, but I do believe in the traditional definition of families.
What are the top 3 issues for your campaign?
3 issues that I bring to the table. I think that the position needs, we need to really look at the operation as a whole. I think anytime you have somebody new come into a role that's as big as the county tax assessor collector, you have to look at the efficiencies of the operation, whether the money's being spent correctly. That's taxpayer money that runs that office. There's 186 employees. You need to make sure you have the right employees doing the right things, providing the right services. So that's one issue. The second issue is I think the person in this position needs to be out in the public, not in an office running the operation. Hearing what the needs are of the community. It works for the electorate, for the citizens that vote. It doesn't work for the operation of tax entity. It's an elected position, an administrative role, and so you need to be out in the public. And then you also need somebody that brings good, strong values to the conversations that when it is an opportunity to make policy decision or to influence policy. And I think it has that huge opportunity to influence policies with city councils, with state representatives, and be a part of that conversation. So those are kind of my three things that I think whoever ends up in this role needs to be very active with those three.
What are the top three things that make you more qualified than your opponents?
Only three of us in this race have a voting record. Only three of us have served in any capacity of public service, and so I think that's very worthy of some consideration. But I would also put my voting record up against anybody's voting record that's running for this position, so I think that qualifies me. I take a pretty strong, fiscally conservative approach to everything, including my own personal life. The car I have out in the parking lot's been paid for 5 years. It has 85,000 miles on it. My car dealer friends don't understand why I don't want a new car. Well, it's just not a necessary need for me right now. So I make pretty strong, fiscally conservative decisions in my personal life, much less in my business and professional life. And then the third thing is I do think I bring values to the conversation. I've been married for 30 years. I have my position on things like life. I was raised by a Southern Baptist deacon, and I bring a lot of those values to the conversation. And so I think those three things alone are part of not only why I think I'm qualified for the position, but also why I think I have the support that I have from lots of people.
Please describe your political experience, any experience as an election volunteer, staffer, candidate, or office holder, or include any names of any candidates or office holders that you've worked for or volunteered?
Volunteer for lots through the recent history. Giovanni Corleone, when he was running for a state rep, as our state rep last cycle, we hosted events in our house for him. When I got involved in city council in Keller, I really committed myself to that. I really felt like I needed to serve the people who elected me, so that's been my ultimate role the past now 4 years of time. But also the governor, we're actively financially supportive of the governor, Abbott, and go to his events when he's in town. But I've also lobbied in Washington on behalf of organizations that I've served on their boards for, and been a part of that for the past 15 years. And then locally, the various club meetings, attend as many of those as I can, not just in this cycle, but even before when they had speakers that I wanted to hear that were supportive of things I believed in, and so I've been actively involved in all that.
Do you have any questions for him this time?
I do. Will you assist cities in collecting red light camera fines through denial of service?
Not at all.
Fines?
That was okay. Is there anything you want to tell the voters and the rest of the board?
The thing for me is I approach this position because it's an opportunity to serve. I realize it's a job, but I don't need a job. I have a great job. This is an opportunity for me to serve, and I believe in the whole concept of servant leadership. And so I just hope that I can have the support of people, and if they have questions, on my push card I actually put my cell phone number. I remain open and available to people, and hope they'll give me a call if there's questions, but also see me out there on the trail, and we'll have some great conversation about the future of Tarrant County.
Do you have a website?
I do. It is www.rickbarnes.republican.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you're elected to the position, will you be showing up to work on time?
I think I'll show up early and stay late. I think the reality of this job is that it is a job, and so you have to treat it like one, but it's also, if you don't show up on time, you got serious problems with any job. So I'll be on time and stay late.